Welcome back to another 50 States of Strange. I hope everybody had a great week. Last week we were in Indiana for our road trip, and now we're going to be visiting South Carolina. South Carolina has quite a bit of monster-related urban legends, so we're going to talk about those today. We're going to talk about some interesting places that you can visit while you're there if you want to see some historical buildings or investigate the paranormal. And we aren't going to do a big true crime story like we did the last time. That story, I know it was like 12 minutes just devoted to the true crime. In this one, I'm going to mention a couple crime-related things, but in this episode, it'll be more focused on the places and more about the urban legend views. So, let's get into it. To start this time, I'm going to mention some places that you can visit. We're gonna do it a little bit backwards from the last video, but you know what? There are no rules here. We're gonna do it however we want. If you are a lover of pirates, you can visit White Point Garden in Charleston. It is a happening place for some pirate spooks because back in the day in 1718, some pirates blockaded the Charleston port and they were defeated by a group of some local merchant ships. And once they were captured, they were hung in the trees. So it is said that you can see faces and bodies hanging from the trees, and you can even hear terrifying screams at night. Captain Bonnet's ghost is said to haunt here as well. He attempted to escape whenever all those pirates and stuff were captured back when they took over the port. So keep an eye out for Captain Bonnet. This spot might require a little bit more bravery. This is the South Carolina Lunatic Asylum in Columbia. It housed nearly 5,000 patients during its peak, and it ran from the 1800s to the 1970s. And all the people with mental illnesses were housed here, and all of the terrible, brutal things that came with running asylums back in the day, ice baths, lobotomies, the whole kit and caboodle, you name it, it was done here. And this is known as Bull Street by the locals. It was the site of a Civil War hospital, and many Civil War dead are thought to be buried on these grounds, along with whoever died during the time the asylum was running. A lot of negative energy, a lot of weird, strange cold spots, disembodied voices. This is definitely one that you do not want to go into alone. No, sir. If you would like to make friends with the ghosts that you see on your visit, you could go visit the Pelican Inn. There is a woman there who likes to supervise in the kitchen. She doesn't disturb anybody, but she appears in an old-fashioned gingham dress, and she just goes about the kitchen, minding her own business. And also, this inn has ghost dogs. That's right, there are ghost terriers here. And it is said that one of the terriers drowned trying to save a little boy, and that the other one died of sadness shortly after, which is super sad. But if you want some ghost dog lovin', then you can visit the Pelican Inn. For the more historical side of this, you could visit Fort Fremont on St. Helena Island in South Carolina. This is super haunted too, so don't get me wrong, you are still going to get your paranormal fill here, but it is super interesting. These pictures, I don't think do it justice. It is huge. The original installation included 170 acres, and many of them are waterfront, with buildings that include barracks, a stable, a mess hall, an administration building, and even a bakery and commissary. So they had gone to town getting this place ready, and now it is completely abandoned. It looks sketchy as hell. I would go, but I would not go alone. The last place I will mention is a little bit more well known. It is Fort Sumter in Charleston. This one was used in the Civil War. There is a museum and everything else associated with it. There is a ton of history about the Civil War and the Spanish War that you can find while visiting South Carolina. So if you, again, are interested in the paranormal and you just like history, go visit South Carolina. There is a lot of interesting history and facts that you can find while visiting down there. And it's really pretty. It's humid and hot, but it is pretty. Okay, I'm going to talk about some weird, creepy, urgent legends. Urgent legends. It's the Statue of Litterby. I meant to say urban legends and creepy stories that originated in South Carolina. First is The Lizard Man. Dun dun dun. The Lizard Man is from a swamp in South Carolina, more commonly known as the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp if you are a local. And this is supposedly a legend that inspired the classic 1982 film Swamp Thing, which was filmed in Charleston. So, coincidence? I think not. In all of these pictures that these people send in for the Lizard Man, it definitely looks fake. And the Lizard Man is like ripped. Like, I mean, I guess he'd be ripped surviving on his own out in the wilderness and having to fight for food or whatnot. But why is Lizard Man ripped? The Lizard Man needs to drop his workout routine, apparently. The next monster we're going to talk about is a boohag. Now, this sounds like something you want to call your stepmother, but this is actually a monster that you can compare pretty closely to a vampire. Basically, the only thing that's different is that instead of just like sucking people's blood to survive, they sneak into your room at night and, quote, ride you, taking the breath, life, and eventually skin from your body. Boohags are known to be red and have no skin. And you can only protect yourself from them by using the color indigo. So all those doors that are painted in indigo color down in the south, I think there's a reason for that, but also like why indigo, and why does indigo get to block out boohags? And who named them boohags? Like what? That is now going to be my new favorite term to use when someone makes me upset. It's no longer boo you whore like Mean Girls, it's you boohag. Everybody's a boohag now. This one isn't a monster, it's just a spirit, but everybody refers to him as the Gray Man, and he shows up to warn the locals whenever there is a storm coming in. So he's usually seen when a hurricane is coming up, and it's just known as a warning to everybody to get the heck out of there. So it's kind of, I mean, it's a bad omen, but at the same time, you know, good on him. Good on him for warning everybody. It's actually known as a sign of good luck if he appears to you, because it's said that your home will more than likely be spared during that storm. So you definitely want to see the Gray Man. We're all for 50 Shades of Grey in this circumstance, if you know what I mean. Sometimes I really wonder what the hell's wrong with me. I'm so sorry. I'm sure you've heard of the Headless Horseman, and in South Carolina you will most likely hear about the Headless Sentry. And I mean sentry as in guard, not 100 years. But this sentry lost his head when a group of Georgetown men were rescuing some prisoners of war, and this guard just happened to be guarding the house at the time. And so he was decapitated in the struggle, and now he can be seen all around down there. So you might see a headless guy walking around at night. There are a ton of urban legends in the South in general that all the southern states kind of share with one another, so I'm not going to talk about those urban legends until we've basically covered all of the South, just because it'll kind of be a good wrap-up point. So that's where I'm going to end in terms of South Carolina's urban legends, but I'm going to talk about a couple of serial killers for you. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but these two were pretty interesting, and they were unique in my opinion, so I will mention them. A quick warning, some things I will mention have adult dialogue. I will be talking a little bit about rape and sexual assault because those are things that are involved in these cases. So if you don't want to hear about this stuff, please fast forward a little bit. I will put a timestamp in when I'm done talking about the crimes again, but like I said, I'll try not to go into too much detail. The first guy I'll talk about is Donald Henry Gaskins Jr., aka Pee Wee Gaskins. This guy was a real piece of trash. He was known to have stabbed, shot, drowned, and poisoned more than a dozen people. When they talk to him later, though, he says that he killed well over 100 people. It's not proven that that's the case, but you never know. This guy had his own hearse, and he would drive around in it, and he would tell people that he had bodies in there, and they would just kind of like laugh it off. But in reality, he did have bodies in here, and he killed and raped multiple people, including minors. And one of the minors was a 13-year-old daughter of a senator at the time. So he obviously got everybody looking in his direction after that. It only took a jury 47 minutes to find him guilty and sentence him to death, so good on them. They knew their assignment and they did it well. 10 of his victims were under the age of 25 and 6 were teenagers. So again, like this says 16 victims, where earlier it said that he had killed more than a dozen people. Obviously, they couldn't determine an actual number of how many people that this guy had killed, but a lot of them are saying that him claiming over 100 victims was just a publicity stunt, which honestly, what more publicity did the guy need? He got quite a bit of limelight already. 2 years later, they overturned the death sentence and they decided to give him 9 concurrent life sentences. Why they decided to do this, I'm not sure, but when they ran a new trial, he pled guilty to some more murders, I guess, and instead of speeding up the death process, they just said, you know what, you could just live in the prison until you die. We don't care. I don't understand. I'll never understand. While Pee-wee is in prison, guess what? He kills somebody else. He ends up killing a fellow inmate that's on death row whose name was Rudolph Tyner, and he uses C4 to blow him up. So, yeah. Probably should have done that electric chair after all, huh? But they finally decided to give him the electric chair on September 1991, and he's finally gone. So there's Pee-wee for ya, and a little fun guy, isn't he? And now I'm going to tell you about another fun guy real fast. I'm talking about Larry Eugene Bell. This guy, again, trash, straight trash, and he was convicted of abducting and killing a 17-year-old girl and a 9-year-old girl. The 17-year-old girl that he abducted, her name was Sharon Smith, aka Sherry. He had abducted her at gunpoint from the end of her driveway when she was checking the mail in Lexington County in 1985. Her car was found abandoned at the curb, and that's how the family knew that something was obviously wrong. And over the next few days, Bell actually calls the family from a payphone and keeps telling them that Sherry's fine. He starts, taunting them. He's like torturing them, basically, telling them that he's still got their daughter. And then after a few days, he finally gives them directions to her remains, and they find her in another county over. And when they find the body, it turns out that she was most likely killed within 12 hours of her abduction. So the whole time, Bell was just lying to the family. This guy is literally evil. He even had Sherry write a last will and testament to give to her family. When Bell keeps calling the family during Sherry's disappearance, Dawn, Sherry's sister, is the one who ends up talking to Bell the most often. And so there's a couple movies and TV docuseries that talk mostly about it in Dawn's point of view. But if you guys want to check it out, Investigation Discovery, True TV, there's like a movie called Nightmare in Columbia County. There's all kinds of like movies and little docuseries actually about the death of Sherry Smith and the point of view of Dawn during this time. So it's pretty interesting if you want to check it out. Shortly after Sherry's body is recovered, a 9-year-old girl is then kidnapped named Deborah Helmick. She's kidnapped in Richland County, South Carolina, and she was abducted while playing with her 3-year-old brother. And again, it is Bell. And after he kills her, he starts calling the Smith family to tell them where he left Deborah's body. So now he's dragging the Smith family into another murder of another girl. It's like he just wants everybody to suffer. Like I hate him. I hate him. There are 2 other women that have gone missing that he is suspected of, but he's never actually charged with. In 1984, a woman named Sandy Cornett went missing, and she was the girlfriend of one of his coworkers. So, the ties are close there. And then another woman named Denise Porch was seen last in 1975. She was living in an apartment near where Bell lived as well. So again, not too far out of pocket for him to have killed these other 2 girls too. However, nothing has come of it. He was never charged. They've never been heard of. And they vanished in Charlotte, North Carolina. So again, I don't know if that was maybe too far out of the way, and so the police were like, it's highly possible that he didn't do it. But you know what? I think he did. And when you think that this guy can't get any weirder, he straight up gets weirder. Like, this guy's out of a movie, I swear. Bell does get a death sentence, but he's given the option of a lethal injection or the electric chair. And the guy chooses the electric chair, which at first is like, that's super weird. I feel like a lethal injection is probably a less terrifying route to go. But Bell believed that the chair that he was going to be sitting in was made from the same true blue oak as Jesus Christ's cross. And during this time that he's in prison leading up to his date of death, he had told the mental health doctors there that all of that electricity from the electric chair would actually help him to ascend to heaven and go to God's throne, and that he himself was Jesus Christ. So, this guy's just all over the damn place. And he decides in his final hours that he's going to take a vow of silence until his death. So he just stayed silent for the last however many hours of his life. So those are the two interesting crime stories that I found out of South Carolina that I thought I would share with you guys. There's plenty of more information out there if you guys want to learn more on those cases, or if you're interested in some more cases from South Carolina. I came across a ton, so I just kind of filtered through the ones that I thought were extra strange, and here we are. That is all I have for you today for South Carolina. If you guys want to share anything else about South Carolina, you can comment below. You can comment on my post on Instagram. You can join the Discord chat for our 50 States of Strange channel. Like I said, if there are states that we've already done and you have a story about them, you can still put them in the comments. I will mention them. I have no problem. I'm still waiting for some stories to pop up, so once I see them, I will definitely mention them. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you guys for the next episode. Bye-bye.